When I think of Texas, I think of Elvis. Texas was traveled by Elvis extensively from 1954 to 1977. 1955 alone witnessed over 90 appearance dates by a then regional artist, Elvis Presley, and his Blue Moon Boys. Many of the places which hosted Elvis still stand to this day. Many still operate as music venues and embrace their history to share with new generations of Elvis fans. Greenville Municipal Auditorium in Greenville, Texas is no exception. Upon an unannounced visit and with an ABBA tribute band loading in, the director was gracious enough to give me a private tour of the venue. Elvis played here on October 5th, 1955. It was during that era the building housed the city jail, directly below the stage. Although Jailhouse Rock wouldn't be released until a couple years later, folklore tells us how everyone in the cell block was dancing during Elvis's performance above them. Onward west to Sweetwater, Texas, where Elvis performed not once but twice in 1955. June 9, 1955, Elvis performed a date from the postponed show the night before. Again on December 16th, Elvis and the Blue Moon Boys would perform before embarking onward to the Louisiana Hayride in Shreveport, Louisiana for a pre-Christmas show on the 17th. The Sweetwater Municipal Auditorium stands today fully restored as a town monument and working venue, inclusive of the original piano in the lobby for visitors to see. I highly recommend stopping in when passing through Sweetwater to see where not only Elvis performed, but Eddie Arnold, Roy Acuff, and Jerry Lee Lewis performed as well. And yes, here is another jail in the basement of this municipal auditorium.
So here we are in Hobbs, New Mexico. Behind me is a relatively new apartment complex. Once stood here was the American Legion Hall. Elvis played here in February of 1955 and in April of 1955. He had come from Carlsbad, New Mexico on the 11th after doing an afternoon show, played here February 11th of 1955, and then he would come back here April 27th of 1955. I spoke with the city of Hobbs, New Mexico earlier today, and they said they had tried to save the building, knowing the history of here regarding Elvis and other artists that had played here, and unfortunately the powers that be won out and a new apartment complex went up. Welcome to Albuquerque, New Mexico. About a mile and a half from here, just off of Route 66, the National Guard Armory once stood on 5th and Silver. Elvis played there in 1956 on April 12th for 2 shows. Reportedly, he and the guys came back here and stayed at the Botker Mansion Bed and Breakfast. According to Scotty Moore's records, the guys stayed here, but it's not been confirmed. So it's still a little bit up in the air from a historical perspective. And as you can see, it's a beautiful place, and it's an active bed and breakfast now. I did contact the owners. They weren't very receptive. According to some sites, this is a haunted place. Maybe they've had their fill of people coming in and going out, filming and asking to film. They denied us coming in to film or shoot any photography. And I even asked regarding the Elvis history if there's anything on the books here, and they did not deny or confirm. So it's a little bit up in the air as to whether Elvis and the guys stayed here, but as it stands, it's a possibility after having played the Armory 2 shows on April 12th, 1956. If in fact they did stay here or in Albuquerque, they of course went on to Amarillo, Texas to play April 13th show.
We are rolling north out of New Mexico into southwest Colorado, Durango to be exact. We are going to pick up a prior acquisition of the country music kind. Here
we go.
Here we are at the Charlie Daniels cabin with Josh. So my other passion besides chasing Elvis memorabilia is snowmobiling. I took my first ride on a neighbor's John Deere snowmobile in Ohio in the late 1970s. In the early 1980s, I would buy my own snowmobiles to ride. Fast forward to the present, 40 years later, I've owned about 50 different snowmobiles. I gravitate towards the time capsule snowmobiles which survive from having numerous miles put on them, the low mileage ones you find in barns and garages across the snow belt. And as you can see here, I like celebrity-owned snowmobiles too. To convey how nutty I am, I have Elvis's 1969 Yamaha snowmobile parked in my living room.
Wow, that got my attention. Oh, gosh. Holy sh**. I had no idea these were long track. Man, I saw it's coming up and I heard that plate and I saw the rod, you know, the metal frame come out and I thought, well, I've caught one. Well, then I looked down, caught the back, cut all this and just jerked it out. So clearly a little trailer repair. The sleds, I'm like blown away. I did not know I was getting long tracks. I mean, these are deep powder sleds. So I'm thrilled. I love Polaris. I've never had a newer Arctic Cat, so I'm really excited, really excited. It's snowmobiling, there's always something. I guess I got a little bit of trailer repair when I get back.
I've gone from riding all over Ohio, Michigan, South Dakota, and Wyoming to simply enjoying the snowmobiles parked in the garage. Tinkering, making them show-worthy by detailing them is enough for the most part. I do miss ditch banging in Ohio and riding from small town to small town in the middle of the night. Riding on the state prison farm and on Neil Armstrong's farm after a fresh snowstorm will always be highlights for me snowmobiling.
We're at Charlie Daniels' cabin out here, and you can see it's beautiful. They've had some snow, but not a lot. There's enough that we could crank up the sleds. I bought the two snowmobiles that Hazel and Charlie had and ridden out here for years. Charlie was a big snowmobiler. I have been, so when Hazel said, we've got some snowmobiles out in southwest Colorado, do you want to buy them or you know anybody buy them? I was like, yeah, me. So here we are, like, I don't know, 1,500, 1,800 miles from home. Came out and picked up the sleds, but super nice shape, really nice condition, but they're long tracks. I mean, they're built for deep powder. They even got the shovels on them, the whole 9 yards. I'm used to riding flatland, Michigan, northern Michigan and so forth. These are deep powder sleds, but they're really nice sleds, nice and clean. So they fired right up. Josh got them cranked up for us, and so really excited. So Colorado on to Kansas and then ultimately Nashville. So see you on the flip-flop.
Something tremendously intriguing about abandoned structures, especially if they are rural or in desolate parts of the country. As we were making our way through Colorado, we came across this abandoned crossroad town which consisted of no more than an abandoned gas station and a cafe and an array of old trucks. So we had to stop and put a drone in the air. A bucket list of mine is to travel the entire length of Route 66 and photograph the abandoned structures and landmarks. Not that this is Route 66, but I think it's a great representation of abandoned Americana. Ain't nothing out here but me, the road, and the radio. I can't tell you how many times I've crisscrossed America, covering tens of thousands of miles, going back and forth, back and forth. When I travel across America, I love to be alone sometimes. It's a great time to reminisce, look back, reflect. It's a great time to clear my mind. It's a great time to listen to some great music. And it's a great time to plan for the future.
So here we are at the Topeka Performing Arts Center. It used to be the Topeka Municipal Auditorium. Elvis had played here in May of 1956, May 21st of 1956. We learned this morning, rumor has it, that Elvis possibly performed here prior to that, coming through, asked to perform on stage, did one number, wasn't paid. That would have been, of course, 54, 55, if that in fact is a true story, which we just learned from the director here, which is fascinating to think possibly Elvis was here before.
Certainly some research there to go down, but again, he played here in May 21st, 1956, but there's been other greats that have played here as well. Nat King Cole, Count Basie, we learned Loretta Lynn has played here, George Jones, Olivia Newton-John, even Barry Manilow, Tina Turner. There's been a lot of different recording artists that have come through here, but as you can see, the structure, once being again the Municipal Auditorium, is now the Performing Arts Center of Topeka. And this is really an incredible building, very Art Deco. We got a tour this morning regarding some of the restoration factors, and this is how a performing arts center looks that's been brought back from its former glory. The detail they paid attention to, down to the exit signs and so forth, is phenomenal. And it's great to see this preserved for decades ahead, because as we've toured, we've been to many other venues, municipal auditoriums for cities that were built in the 30s and the 40s, and unfortunately they're in maybe bad shape, or they've had restoration but not to the nth degree they should have been restored. This is a shining example of what restoration looks like, and history preserved, not only musically, but performing arts of all kind.
So we're just leaving the Topeka Performing Arts Center, and we heard a great story that came from the director. When Elvis played here on May 21st of 1956, after the show, he and the guys headed to the hotel, which is about a block away from here, and it's still standing. And we were told Elvis thought, I'll just walk to the hotel, and lo and behold, a lot of teenagers got wind of it and started following him and basically chased him to the hotel. Great story. We're going to walk the path and check out the hotel. So here we are in the lobby of the Canson Hotel in downtown Topeka, Kansas. We're about a block and away from the Municipal Auditorium where Elvis performed on May 21st of 1956. He thought he could just leisurely walk over to his hotel here, which is now apartments and a bank. Then it was a hotel. Elvis thought he could just stroll over, and he got chased by the teenage girls from the Performing Arts Center to the hotel here. These are the exact elevators that Elvis was pursued to, went up to his room. And this is May 21st, 1956.
When I'm on the road, I love to hit antique malls. Never know what you're going to find, never know what's going to pop up. Nowadays, a lot of things hit the internet, but it's always just fun to get back into an antique shop and browse and see if I can find anything pertaining to Elvis. And as always, there's something Elvis every antique mall in every corner of America. I'm always on the hunt for country music artifacts, anything nostalgic that kind of cranks my tractor. And, of course, Nashville. I got a lot of miles to cover, so I move quickly. I'm always on the lookout for unique things that my clients would be interested in purchasing. Sometimes there's bargains, sometimes not. Sometimes it's just cool to pick up something from another part of the country. Some of the small things take me back to my childhood, whether it's beer cans or baseball cards. It's always fun to find things that give you memory feelings about your childhood. Then, of course, nap time.
2 hours later.
So on this trip, of course, I've got a trailer, so if I come across anything large like a cool sign, I've got the space to put it in. So I'm kind of diligently looking for that big piece that I wouldn't get across the country otherwise. Not much here today, but hey, there's another antique mall down the road.